Hello, Rebels. I thought today would be a really good day to talk about maybe a play that we can learn. It's a very, very simple play and it doesn't involve a lot of remembering. So I thought we could start with this one. We're going to call it Honey because there are two bunches of girls at the top of the 8 to 12, and I just kind of thought honey bunches of oats, let's just call it honey. What this does is it creates space in the middle here, and it keeps people out of the way while the people down here and the cutters from here have jobs to do. So it just kind of creates space into these four corners around the goal and the 8 and allows cutters to come through without a lot of collisions. You start with the ball down behind the goal. So we're going to call these two players X1 and X2. Now, someone who is down at the bottom behind the goal is in the feeder position. Sometimes they call it the X position, but I'm using X's for all the positions. So we'll call it the feeder position from behind the goal. These players that go down there, it can change. You don't have to stay down there throughout the whole play because the play can continue. I don't like to call it a play. I like to call it an offense because it can kind of just keep going, and you could be creative off of it. The players that decide to go down to the X1 and X2 spot are people who continue to move their feet while they have the ball, because you're going to have the ball for a little bit. People that really like to roll the crease and come from behind the goal and come around and get a shot off. And they should be somebody who is actually really good at throwing passes to their teammates. So if you like to be someone who assists and gets people passes and has a good timing on that and isn't scared to have someone in your face while you're trying to do it, these are the spots for you. And it doesn't have to be the same person every time. It's fine if it changes throughout the play. So X1 or X2 can start with the ball. They can also switch spots. They can go up and change with somebody as long as someone comes back down. As long as we have two players behind the goal, you're set up. Okay? I put the ball in X1's hands first just because I called her X1, so that's where it's going to start. There are 3 players in a group up on one side and 2 players in a group on the other side. Now, it doesn't matter if you have 3 on this side and 2 over here. Either way, you need to have 3 on one side and 2 on the other. This tells you who gets to cut. The group that has 3 gets to start the cutting. Now, I'll explain that in a second, but you're going to see, and I'm going to put them on here, that the hash marks on the 8 often help us know our spacing. So there are always 5 hash marks that help us know our spacing. You want to set this stack of girls up near the first hash mark, but not right on the 8. You want to be up closer to the 12 and work in this space. Same thing over here. The stack of 2 girls, this bunch of 2 girls, are going to be floating around near the first hash mark, but you want to kind of stay higher near the 12 and move in this space. Now, the key here with any play is to never be stationary. You don't want to stand still. You don't want to be flat on your feet. So every single player is going to be involved in this play, and every single player needs to be ready, and so you should be moving. Now, moving doesn't always mean cutting. Sometimes moving, we talked about this, is just bouncing around in the space that you're supposed to be and making fake cuts so that your defense has to keep worrying about you. So, how does the play work? Well, like I said, X1 and X2, their primary job is to feed the pass into a cutter. But that's not their only job, okay? The players up in the bunches, their primary job is to make cuts. But that's not their only job. So let's talk about the primary jobs first, and then I'll talk about some of the secondary jobs. The primary job of the group up at the top is making cuts. Now, you want the cut to happen from the group of 3 first, but it will change as you go. As they move around, you don't want to just be obvious with your cuts. You kind of want to bump into each other, pretend to cut, kind of bounce around while this girl looks like she's going. She might try to go to roll. Maybe she won't. Maybe she'll roll. Maybe she won't. She doesn't want to stay trapped behind the goal. She kind of wants to move in this space. Do you see how much space I'm giving her? Okay. This allows her to see cutters coming from there and cutters from there. So she's going to have to look at people making moves from here and here. So she can't be behind this crease where she can't see anything. She has to be off to the side. Same when this girl gets the ball. So as she's moving, she's looking, maybe she's going to go, maybe she's not. Her eyes are always forward, okay? Her eyes are always forward. She never turns her back to what's happening. These players, because they have 3, are going to start, and they're moving around, they're faking, whatever. They don't want to just start cutting. They want to move first. And then maybe this player is moving, and then she goes, ooh, I'm going. Now, the girls here can start saying, Kelly, 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 Kelly. Even though they're faking and stuff, the other team doesn't know who Kelly is. Here's Kelly. She's like, oh, they're saying me, they're saying me, they're saying me. And then she starts the cuts. Her cut needs to come down towards the goal first. By the time she gets halfway through the 8, if she's not completely open and her stick isn't visible by this player, she's going to start to turn, keeping her eyes on the cutter. Maybe it's a late feed, and then she's going to come back up and join the other stack like a trade. When she comes into this stack here, she might be calling a name of a player from this group. Now, should this group have been staying still? No. Should this group stop moving? No. Everyone's moving, okay, but they're staying in their areas. When she cuts through, if she's not used, this player just goes, nope, sorry, keeps moving. Maybe she rolls, maybe she doesn't, okay? She keeps moving. She looks like a threat. As soon as this girl comes up, now they have 3 players, so they get to cut. Remember, this girl left, and she came over here. Maybe she's saying, let's pick a name. Maybe she's saying Amber, Amber, Amber. And Amber's here, and this is Elsie. Amber and Elsie are sort of moving around with each other, and Amber's like, oh, she's saying my name. So Amber's like, oh, I'm going to go this way, psych. And then Amber starts her cut. Again, same rules. She's going to cut down towards the goal with her stick out and open. This player is looking to feed to her, okay? If she's not open by the time she gets halfway, she needs to turn, keeping her eye on the ball, and start making her way back to the other stack. Again, it's her job to start calling a name. These girls should still be moving. These girls should still be moving. Every cut comes down and out, down and out. And every time one player leaves a group and joins another, that new group has 3, so a cut comes from there. And it should happen almost right away. So as I'm leaving and calling a name, you should be moving and getting ready. You should be cutting right off of me. Okay? Cutting down and out. This girl, I've already said her name. She's cutting down and out. Okay? Now, after this girl looks for maybe 2 or 3 cutters, she either looks to try to go or she passes the ball. And I'm going to switch colors real quick. She passes the ball to her teammate over here. And now X2 has the ball. And all the same rules that X1 was following, X2 will follow. So they've changed jobs. Okay, so now X2 wants to try and move out in this space, not behind the goal, but out to the side of the goal, so that she can make feeds to someone from this side or feeds to someone cutting from across. And these cutters keep going. So they move, 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 cut down and out. Move, 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 cut down and out. Call names, talk. Talking is key. Okay, this is the basic primary job of every player. There's more to it, but this is the basic. X1 and X2 are feeders. They're constantly moving their feet. If a defender is putting a lot of pressure on them, they don't have to just take it. They don't have to take the pressure. They can actually roll the crease and try to score on their own. Notice all the defenders. Let me put the defenders in. Let's make them purple. If I have defenders in here, let me use my finger for this. Defense, 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 defense. Here is a defender here. Here's a defender here. Oop, that looks silly. Notice where the defender is. This X2 player needs to be moving from side to side so that she can see around her defender. These defenders up here at the groups are going to have a hard time seeing the ball and seeing their cutter. They're going to have a hard time deciding which way to face and following you. They're going to be late. So these cuts up here are going to be really nice and open a lot of the time. But if this defender down here starts to really put all this pressure on X2, X2 can then decide to go to goal. And what you're going to notice is all of these defenders up at the 8 won't be able to make a good slide to help her. So what are our primary jobs? This is supposed to be writing really nicely, and it's not. Come on. Hold on. What are our My computer's been a little slow today. Hold on. Go back. Thank you. Primary jobs in the play. The primary jobs down here is feeders. Feeders. It's being slow. Come on, I'm writing it. There we go. The primary job of the bunches here and here are cutters. Okay. Those are the primary jobs. There are tons of options off this play, which we'll get into later. But I want you to recognize that if this feeder here is under a lot of pressure and tries to roll the crease and can't, she can definitely drift off, give the ball to someone new, and then they can switch jobs. This player here can come down. This X player right here could come down and be the new X2, and the old X2 could come up and join the stacks. There's no reason that you have to stay there, okay? And if you're really under a lot of pressure and you can't roll the crease, get outside the 12, pop it off to someone else, let them take your job, you take their job, okay? What I'm going to ask you to do is review the play. If I call Honey, how do you set up? What sort of things might you say to your teammates about where to go? If you have the ball, you could say, I'm X1. If you want to be another feeder, you go, I got X2. Okay? If you're already here and you're this person who's already kind of set up a stack and you see one of your teammates just sort of wandering around, not lost, what do you say? Hey, join the stack. Come here, come here, come here. Join the stack. Join the stack. You can say join the bunch. In lacrosse, we call them stacks, but for you guys, we were calling them bunches. Help them out. Every time you are a cutter, one of these blue things, every time you are a cutter coming through, as you lead, you want to go with your leading stick, get your hand free, try and ask for the ball with your stick up, and as you leave, start calling a name, get used to communicating, okay? I'm going to show you in a second video some of the options off of this play, okay? But for your homework, I want you to draw just the primary information. So what I just showed you, I know now at the end all the scribbles look a little crazy, but I want you to think about how do I draw the players? Where do they go? What am I going to call those players? Are they cutters? Are they feeders? And what's the primary job of each player in their positions? Okay? And then for the next video, if you want to learn more, I will show you the options off the play. Okay? Go do your homework.